Hello, hello. Welcome back to the show. My name is Lindsay Dollinger, and friends, we are doing the perfect episode for today because we're going to talk all about back to school business tips for busy entrepreneurs. And this episode came from a reader question, actually. She slid into my DMs, which I love. So please send me ideas for podcast topics, even if it's something that I've covered previously, because I feel like at this point I've covered everything previously, but things change in different seasons, right? And it's always good for like a nice update. And when this goes live, this is my first day back at school for the year. So in case you did not know, I am a high school Spanish teacher full time. And this is my 17th year teaching. And I'm recording this like 3 days before it goes live. I hate doing this. I love to batch things out. So actually my goal is after this episode is to record like 2 or 3 more tonight just to get ahead, because that's how one of my tips for running my business is I like to do as much ahead as possible. And I don't like waiting till last minute because things happen last minute, which I feel like has been my week this week. And I won't spare you with all the boring details, but I have had a reminder go off on my phone every day this week, record podcast. And something has come up inevitably. And anyway, so we are here and it is back to school season. And even if it's not back to school season for you, if you're like, well, Lindsay, I'm not a teacher, because I know a lot of you are not teachers who listen, or maybe you don't have kids anymore. It's just this season, right? We in our society, you went to school at one point in time, and probably, I don't know for you, but I mean, obviously for me, because I'm still in the classroom, but my calendar just mentally revolves like August to June, August to June. And like, June, July, beginning of August is, my summer, my break, different season, different vibe. And we're heading into the fall vibe. We're thick into the second half of 2025, which just seems crazy to me. I don't know where the year went. And this is the perfect time to reassess, to get some new routines down, to get really clear on your goals, decide what you really want, how you're going to get there, tighten things up so that third and fourth quarter are huge quarters for businesses, especially depending on what your business is. You can still make a lot of sales and you can really turn things around. Even now on August 18th, if you're listening to this the day this drops, you can turn things around in your business, or you can use the momentum that you already have to propel yourself forward even more. So that's what I want to share about today. Because like I said, I've always kind of been known as like the productivity queen, the systems queen, because I do so many things in my life, and I've been adding more things in a lot. If you've been on this journey with me, you know that. So I'm going to go through 5 main tips, and I'm going to break them all down and give you some ideas and show you what that looks like in my life. But 5 main tips for you to run your business while balancing a full plate, whatever that looks like for you. It could still mean a full-time job. It could be your family. It could mean siblings, you taking care of your parents. A lot of us are at that age as well where we are caregivers. I've been spending a lot of time with my dad this week helping him do different things. And his power went out yesterday for like 8 hours. It was like a whole thing. And so I was just talking to him and he's like, well, what are you doing today? And I'm like, I got to do the stuff that I've been trying to do all week. But these strategies are going to help you move your business forward without burnout. And that's the key there, friend, is without burnout, because I have been there. I've been there this year, even at a point where I'm feeling very burnt out, and that is not the goal. So let's dive into this together. So tip number 1, and these are going to sound simple, but let's break them down. Tip number 1, get back into a routine that works for you. When summer's over, it's so tempting to think like, oh, I'll just go with the school schedule. But here's the thing, your routine needs to be built around your energy and your business priorities. And if you've been on this journey with me, you have heard me talk a lot about energy. Probably about 2 years ago, I had this like big aha that the more we can be very honest with ourselves, very self-aware, stop lying to ourselves, stop giving ourselves excuses on why things are working, and also stop making ourselves believe that there's only one way to do things. Like, I know you've probably heard of the 5 a.m. club and all these things about if you get up at 5 a.m. And yes, there's some truth to that, but I'm going to be honest. I am not a morning person. I have tried to manifest that. I have tried to meditate on that. I have tried. My energy is the best between like 10 and 4 is like my sweet spot. I hate working out in the morning. I always have. I've tried that as well. I just, and I'm calling morning like 5 to 7 a.m. Then I was just thinking about that this morning because I get up with my dog every morning at 5:30. She takes a pill. she has to take it every 12 hours. So that works for us, like 5:30 a.m. p.m., especially when we get back to school season. And we've kept that routine all summer. But I'll be honest, after I give her that pill and I have to wait 20 minutes and then feed her, and then I let her out, I go back to bed from like 6 to 8, 8:30. And it is the perfect amount of sleep for me. And so now I'm like thinking, with going back to school, I'm like, okay, that means I need to go to bed at like 8:30. And I did that 2 years ago for the whole school year. And I have to tell you, my energy, like I've never been more productive and it doesn't make sense really, because you're like, okay, if you're awake less hours, how are you more productive? But I'm more productive because my energy is better because I am sleeping better and I'm like a happier, nicer person. So you really get to be self-aware about this to build the routine that works for you. It doesn't have to be the routine that works for all the gurus and all the millionaires and, all the celebrities. It has to be for you. So some questions you can ask yourself is, when do you have the most focus? Is it in the morning before work? Is it your lunch break? Is it evenings? Where can you build in non-negotiable business time in those times where you're able to focus and your energy is the highest? So even if you only have 30 to 60 minutes a day, scheduling it like an appointment keeps your business from slipping to the bottom of your to-do list. And we've all been guilty of that, myself included. Schedule it in. I heard someone say one time that I can tell how successful you're going to be in your business if you show me your calendar. And that has always stuck with me. So if you know that you're going to allow things to come up that aren't really emergencies, like my dad's power going off yesterday and us having to, get the stuff out of his refrigerator and help him try to call an electrician, like that's like an emergency, quote unquote, right? But is scrolling TikTok an emergency? No. Is doing your dishes at that moment in time an emergency? No. Those are probably things that you're doing to avoid something else. So you know yourself. If you're going to avoid doing the things that you have to do, schedule them in like an appointment, put your phone on do not disturb, and like really start setting these boundaries and holding yourself accountable, because you are a freaking business owner. You are the CEO of your business. And if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. And you have no one to blame but yourself, right? Another tip with this, and I have done this like with the Google Calendar, or like, I don't think you can do it on an Apple Calendar, maybe, but color code your planner, your digital calendar, so you can visually see your business blocks, your personal time blocks, your health and wellness blocks, the things that are your priorities. And then when you look at it, from like a bird's eye view, if there's way more green than there is red, you know that your priorities are a little bit out of skew. So that's a really nice kind of challenge that you can do for yourself to audit your time and where it's going. Okay, tip number 2, master the art of micro tasks. And I think this is one of my keys on how I'm able to be so productive. When time is limited, you can't wait for a 4-hour of uninterrupted time. It's not coming. So instead, embrace the micro tasks. And what these are is breaking big projects into tiny 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes even less, action steps that you can knock out in between the school drop off, while you're waiting in the drive-through pickup line, while you're waiting for your Kroger meal delivery to come out to your car, your work calls, soccer practice. So an example of this, write one email instead of the full email sequence. Or I heard one time, just open up your email processor and write the subject line or write the first paragraph. And I usually find, especially if I do have time, if it's just me like kind of avoiding the task, like, oh, I don't really want to do this today. Once I start doing it, just like working out, you've probably heard this before from maybe trainers where they say, if you put on your workout gear, just give yourself 5 minutes of the workout. And then if you want to quit, quit. But 90% of the time, your energy then is high. The endorphins are flowing. So you're like, okay, I'm not going to quit now. This is me. I already started sweating. I'm not going to quit now. So, do a little baby piece of it. Even if you don't have time to do all of it, I get that. And this is really how I've grown my business. So, lunch break, for example, I have unpaid lunch break. So I have about a half an hour at lunch. So I might eat and socialize the first 20 minutes. The last 10 minutes, I'm following up on DMs. I may be interacting on Instagram. I'm replying to some emails from some customers, different things like that. You could record one reel instead of batching out all 10. I love to batch. Like I just mentioned, I'm going to be batching some podcasts, but I don't always have time to do that. So if I don't always have time to do that, okay, let's record one for 20 minutes. See where my energy is at, because that's really huge too. See if I have some time. Do I need to let the dog out in between? All those things. Maybe it's just outlining a podcast episode instead of actually recording it and editing it all in one sitting. So I usually do that. So I have a Trello board. I'm a huge fan of Trello, if you do not know that. But I have a Trello board for my business. And one of the I don't know, like the columns is called podcast ideas. And so each card is like a title or a topic of a podcast. And then in the card, I just go through and I like brain dump at like for, I don't know, a half an hour at a time. And I write out the podcast scripts and episodes. And then when they're ready to go, I color code them different ways. So then when it's time for me to record a podcast, I sit down, I open up my Trello board and I scroll through and I'm like, okay, what does my audience really need today? Or I think like, okay, what's coming up in my business? So I just launched the social sales studio. So I've been doing a lot around social media the past couple months. You've probably noticed. So that's all been really intentional because I want people to know that I am an expert in social media because I'm getting ready to launch this thing, right? So anyway, I'm getting off tack. I'm talking about strategy now with launching, and that's not the point of this. But, I outline my podcast episodes in one sitting so that then when it's time to record, I can go and do that. So micro tasks can make your progress possible even on chaotic days. And then you're actually being productive, right? When you get done with that 10 or 15 minute amount of time, okay, I outlined some podcast ideas or I outlined some social media ideas. Now all I need to do is make the captions so I can schedule them, etc. Things like that. Okay, tip number 3, this is one of my favorites. Use systems to work smarter. So if you're doing everything manually, you're wasting precious time. That's just what it is. Automations and templates are your best friend. So here's some things that you could set up. An email automation. If you already have an email list up and going, why do we not have some email automations so that you, one, look like a legitimate business, but two, so that you are able to constantly be showing up to the new people on your list. New leads get a welcome sequence without you touching a thing if you set it up. I am actually working on tweaking my welcome sequence for my membership, the Social Sales Studio, because I want to make sure that all the members get a really personalized, hands-on approach to me introducing them to the studio because there's so much in there. There's the content calendars that I give you and some template links, but then there's the main studio itself that has a separate login where you go in and you can create all your content, your lead magnets, your landing pages, your funnels, all with AI. And I want to make sure that everyone knows exactly what they're getting so that they're not leaving things on the table that they have access to, right? Like that's the whole point of it. So those email automations are huge. Email automations, my travel agent friends listening to this, there are, I use TravelJoy. I absolutely love it. I have all my email automations set up in there. And I think last time I looked, I had 165, maybe 170 email templates. And those are all set up with automations. So that's like, I have someone who I just booked a Royal Caribbean cruise for them. And I saw this morning that one email went to them and then I got a notification of a task that I have to do for them for that booking because all of those automations are already set up. So let me know if you want more info on that. You want to hear how that is done because it's work to get it set up. Once it is set up though, you're like hands off except when people have questions about the things that you are prepping them on. Social media scheduling tools like Later, Planoly. I just use the Meta Business Suite because it's free. Canva you can schedule through. These can all schedule your posts in advance. Tailwind for Pinterest. Repurpose.io can help you repurpose things and reschedule. So these are the sorts of things that at this point in time to hear like, I don't have time to do good social media or I don't have time to schedule social media. Friend, like the days of I don't have time because of all of the systems and templates that we can have as business owners, like that excuse, I really don't want to hear it. And this might be like sassy of me to say, but like you need to figure it out. Ask someone for help. Ask people like, okay, what are you doing to do this? And get it done. And yes, it might cost some money. It might cost, like I said, Meta Business Suite is free to schedule. So if you're wanting to go a low cost route, that's a low cost route. The tools like in my social sales studio, it's a tax write-off. I'm not a tax professional. I do have to say that, but it should be a tax write-off for you. And so you're wanting these tax write-offs in your business. This is the time to be using it on things that will help you get some of your time back so that you can have more time to either spend time with your friends and family, do things that you love, or focus on building your business even more. Why are we not doing this? Okay. And then the third one in this is templates. I love templates on Canva. I have templates for everything. I have templates not just for things on Canva, for my graphics and for like you've probably noticed when I publish this podcast, I have a special podcast graphic that goes out. It looks like I have 3 different versions of it. My pins have graphics. I have email outlines that are templates that I have set up as well. DM scripts, all these things can help you so that you can plug and play. My travel agents, you should have templates for itineraries. I already mentioned all my email templates that I have. I have so many of them. But having these things, like if you're doing it more than once, you should have a template. Let's have a system for this. And again, let's think smarter, not harder. Tip number 4, involve your family in your business. Now, there's a caveat to this. If you have a family who's not so supportive, I don't want you to involve them in your business because I don't want you getting like the negativity and the naysayer in your head. But if you've got kids, like my sister does stuff for my business all the time. She is such a help. She's all the time like recording me on B-roll when we're out doing things and sending it to me. But I hear this a lot. I don't have kids, so I can't personally talk about this, but I have clients who have kids and they can be surprisingly helpful. And it teaches them responsibility and entrepreneurship. And then they're along for the journey, they're invested. So some ideas for this, your younger kids can help you with packing mailers or putting stickers on things. Older kids can help with tech, editing videos, taking photos, or even giving feedback on content ideas, because let's be real, they probably know more about TikTok and Instagram than we do and what's like trending and what's not. Let them co-host a live with you. When I was selling LuLaRoe in 2017, anytime my sister was in my video and we were like bantering or conversing back and forth, or my dog, anytime she would make an appearance or I would talk about Bella, more views. And then it really, again, it's creating that trust factor with you that people are connecting with you on a whole other level. They're seeing you with your family and your friends, your pets, and they're like, I have a sister and we do this, or I wish I had a sister, then we did this. I hear that a lot. And, just make it fun, make it some fun engagement. It not only lightens your workload, but it's also going to make you feel connected with what you're building and help other people feel connected with what you're building as well. Tip number 5, give yourself permission to adjust your goals. Okay, this season might not be the time for you to double down on your business and launch 5 new offers. I've definitely had seasons where I thought that was going to be it, and then I fell down 2 steps and broke my leg in 6 different places, right? It's okay. It happens. That's called life. So set realistic seasonal goals. I love making seasonal goals to fit your current bandwidth. Maybe this fall is about building your email list. Maybe it's about improving your systems. Maybe it's about focusing on one signature offer. For me, that's going to be focusing on the social sales studio. You're going to hear me talking about it all the time. That's my goal to talk about in my social as well. Do I have other offers? Yes. Is the Confident and Ambitious Mastermind open right now? Yes. But it's not for everyone. The social sales studio is for everyone. And that's where I want to put all my eggs in my basket, see what happens when I really, really focus on it. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Pick something in your business to really focus and go all in on, and let's see what happens. Because business is a long game, and you can grow at a sustainable pace and still win. Okay, so there you have it, my top 5 back to school tips. 1, build a routine that works for you. 2, embrace micro tasks. 3, use systems to work smarter. 4, involve your family. 5, adjust your goals to match your season. And along this, I want to also say that when I am planning for the week, first of all, I love a good theme day. But Sunday morning, I sit down, or Saturday morning, sometime on the weekend, I sit down, I look at the week ahead, I look at what's coming up, and I plan everything out that I can. Not only do I plan everything out that I can, but I schedule it all on my calendar. I look what's coming ahead. I see what my energy is going to be doing. And that's how I make sure to stay on track for the week and really plan, right? Okay. So remember, friend, you can run a business, work your job, and be present for your family, and you can do it all without burning out. It just takes the right systems, mindset, and a sprinkle of magic. I hope you loved this episode. If you want help with your systems around social media, please make sure to join the Social Sales Studio as a founding member. The price is going up super, super soon. I want you in there. You're going to be blown away. Maybe I'll do like a separate episode just about that in just a second. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Go out there and create and own your magic.